You know what's wild? The people who study the least often learn the most. And the ones grinding for hours? They're usually just pretending. I'm about to show you why everything you've been told about focus is backwards. And more importantly, the exact system that'll let you study less, remember more, and actually enjoy the process. No guilt. No burnout. Just results. Look, I spent 2 years of my life thinking I was broken. I'd watch people breeze through exams while I was pulling all-nighters and still bombing. I tried every app, every study hack, every productivity guru's advice. Then I stumbled on something that changed everything. And it wasn't about trying harder. It was about understanding how your brain actually works when nobody's watching. Let me walk you through it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most studying is theater. You're at your desk. Notes open. Highlighter in hand. But your brain? It checked out 20 minutes ago. You're just moving your eyes across words hoping something sticks. I call this zombie studying. You look productive. You feel productive. But you're learning almost nothing. And here's why that happens. Your brain doesn't care about information. It cares about survival. So, unless what you're studying feels urgent, relevant, or emotionally charged, your brain treats it like background noise. Think about the last time someone insulted you. You remember every word, right? But that chapter you read yesterday? Gone. That's not because you're bad at studying. It's because your brain has priorities. And random facts about biology or accounting. Not on the list. So, the first step isn't studying harder. It's making your brain care. And no, I'm not about to tell you to find your passion or visualize your future self. That stuff doesn't work. What works is way simpler and kind of sneaky. Before you study anything, ask yourself one question. What's the one thing about this topic that makes no sense to me? Not what's important. Not what's on the test. What genuinely confuses you? Because here's the secret. Your brain loves solving puzzles. It hates memorizing facts. When you approach studying as detective work instead of data entry, everything changes. Let me give you an example. Say you're studying World War II. Most people start with dates and names. Boring. Your brain taps out immediately. Instead, ask, why did regular people go along with it? Like, how does an entire country lose its mind? Now you're curious. Now you're hunting for answers. And suddenly all those names and dates? They matter. Because they're pieces of the puzzle. This works for anything. Math? Don't memorize formulas. Ask why the formula works. Science? Don't memorize definitions. Ask what problem it solves. Turn every study session into an investigation. Your brain will actually pay attention. Here's something they don't teach you in school. Forgetting is part of learning. Sounds backwards, right? But there's this thing called the forgetting curve. Basically, your brain dumps information unless you prove it's worth keeping. Most people fight this. They cram. They reread the same notes 50 times. And then they forget everything a week later. But what if you worked with your brain instead of against it? Here's how. After you study something, walk away. Let yourself forget a little. Then, right before it's completely gone, review it. Not from your notes. From memory. This is called active recall. And it's the difference between recognition and actual learning. Think about it like this. If I show you the answer, you'll go, oh yeah, I knew that. But if I make you pull it from your brain, that's when it sticks. So here's the move. Study something new. Close the book. Wait a day. Then test yourself. You'll struggle. That's good. That struggle is your brain building permanent connections. Do this 3 times over a week and you'll remember it forever. Does it once for 6 hours? You'll forget it by next month. Quality over quantity. Always. I know what you're thinking. That sounds great, but I don't have time to space things out. My exam's in 3 days. Okay. Let's talk about cramming. Because sometimes you don't have a choice. If you're cramming, you need a triage system. You can't learn everything. So stop trying. Here's what you do. Go through all the material and divide it into 3 categories. Must know. Should know. Nice to know. Must know? That's the stuff that shows up on every practice test. The core concepts. The big ideas. Focus 80% of your time here. Should I know? That's the details that support the big ideas. Spend 15% here. Nice to know? Ignore it completely. If you have time left over, great. But you won't. Most people do the opposite. They waste hours on random details and run out of time for the important stuff. Then they panic. Here's a cramming session that actually works. 30 minutes of active recall on must-know material. 10-minute break. 30 minutes of practice problems or teaching it out loud. 10-minute break. Repeat. No highlighting. No rereading. Just retrieval. Over and over. And here's the key. Sleep. I know you want to pull an all-nighter. Don't. Your brain consolidates memory while you sleep. 6 hours of study plus 6 hours of sleep beats 12 hours of study and no sleep. Every single time. Cramming isn't ideal. But if you're doing it, do it smart. Let's talk about where you're studying. Because this is secretly controlling everything. Your brain builds associations. If you study in bed, your brain thinks bed equals studying. So when you try to sleep, your brain's like, wait, aren't we supposed to be working? Same with your phone. If it's next to you, even face down, your brain is using energy to not check it. That's energy you could be using to learn. So here's the fix. One location. One purpose. Find a spot that's only for studying. Not for eating. Not for scrolling. Just work. Could be a library desk. A coffee shop. Even a specific chair in your room. Doesn't matter where. Matters that it's consistent. And when you're there, everything that's not related to studying? Gone. Phone in another room. Snacks out of sight. Tabs closed. I know this sounds extreme. But your environment is either working for you or against you. There's no neutral. Think of it like this. Would you try to sleep at a concert? No. Because the environment is screaming, stay awake. The same logic applies here. Make your study space boring. Make it focused. Make it impossible to do anything else. Your future self will thank you. Alright, we've covered how to make your brain care, how to remember better, how to cram smart, and how to set up your space. But there's still one thing nobody talks about. And it's the reason most people quit. Every single time you sit down to study, there's a moment, usually in the first 5 minutes, where your brain goes, nope, not doing this. It'll tell you you're tired, or hungry, or that you should check something really quick. This is resistance. And it's totally normal. Most people think this means they're not cut out for studying. So they give in. They grab their phone. They get a snack. They convince themselves they'll start in 10 minutes. But here's the thing. That feeling doesn't mean stop. It means you're about to break through. Resistance is just your brain testing you. It's asking, are we really doing this? And if you push through for just 5 minutes, it gives up. Suddenly you're in flow. So when you feel that urge to quit, don't fight it. Acknowledge it. Say, yeah, this sucks. I'm doing it anyway. Then keep going. 5 minutes. That's all you need. And if you still can't focus after 5 minutes, then take a break. For real. Walk around. Drink water. Come back at 10. But most of the time, you won't need to, because you'll already be locked in. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never feel resistance. They're the ones who've learned to expect it and move through it anyway. That's the skill. Here's the fastest way to kill procrastination. Make starting so easy you can't say no. Instead of, I'm going to study for 2 hours, say, I'm going to read 1 page. That's it. 1 page. Sounds too simple, right? But here's what happens. You read 1 page. Your brain goes, oh, that wasn't bad. So you read another. Then another. And suddenly you've been studying for 40 minutes. The hard part is never studying. It's the start. Your brain sees 2 hours of studying as a threat. It panics. It procrastinates. But 1 page? That's nothing. No threat. No resistance. This works for anything. 1 math problem. 1 paragraph. 1 video. Just lower the barrier until it's impossible to fail. And here's the best part. Once you start, momentum takes over. You don't have to force yourself to keep going. You'll want to. I use this every single day. Even now. When I don't feel like writing, I tell myself, just 1 sentence. I've never stopped at 1. Stop trying to rely on motivation. Motivation is a feeling. Feelings are unreliable. Instead, rely on systems. And the 2-minute rule is the simplest system that actually works. You've got the tools. You know how to start, how to focus, how to remember. But there's one final piece. And this is the one that separates the people who actually change from the people who just think about it. Here it is. You're not studying to get smarter. You're studying to prove something to yourself. Every time you sit down when you don't feel like it, you're sending yourself a message. You're saying, I'm the kind of person who keeps promises. That's what this is really about. Not grades. Not success. Identity. Because here's the truth. You already know you're capable. You've done hard things before. But somewhere along the way you stopped trusting yourself. You started quitting when things got uncomfortable. And now your brain doesn't believe you when you say you're going to do something. So every study session, it's a chance to rebuild that trust. And the crazy thing is, once you do, everything else gets easier. Not just studying. Everything. Because now you're not someone who talks about change. You're someone who does it. Even when it's boring. even when nobody's watching. That version of you exists. You've met them before. Maybe not in a while, but they're still there. And the way you bring them back is simple. You start. You show up. You do the thing. One page. One problem. One session at a time. That's how you become the person you've been trying to be. Let's lock this in. Make your brain care by turning studying into detective work. Use active recall to actually remember things. If you're cramming, focus on what matters and sleep. Control your environment so it's working for you, not against you. Push through resistance in the first 5 minutes. Use the 2-minute rule to eliminate procrastination. And remember, you're not just learning material. You're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who follows through. That's the real win. If this helped, drop a comment and let me know which part hit hardest. I read every single one. And if you want to go deeper on building habits that actually stick, I made a whole video on that. It's linked below. Watch it next. Next time, I'm breaking down the kind of social media addiction that's keeping you stuck. It's not what you think. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Don't miss it. Now go study. One page. Right now. You got this.